Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Panorama Consulting Group ERP Vendor Spotlight. Thanks for joining us today. Today, we're highlighting Infor as the vendor and the M3 application. So my name is Cristobal, Director of Industry Relations at Panorama Consulting. I'm also Manager of Software Selection. Today, we have Nick and Orest, Infor experts. They're going to lead us through their presentations respectively. Again, thanks for your time today. We have an offer of an hour of free consulting to the first handful of respondents to today's webinar. So please take advantage of that and get some access to free, good information from the Panorama team. Today, we're going to briefly look at some recent trends that not only Panorama has seen in the industry, manufacturing industry, but also what Infor is seeing as well. We'll also have a brief overview of the M3 ERP application via some screenshots and some presentation slides on its functionality. A little bit about Panorama before we get going today. On the left-hand side, you can see our lines of service, full management consulting group. And in the middle, you see the industries that we focus on. And on the right-hand side is about our people. Excellent resources and very good experienced people here at Panorama. This is a quick snapshot of some of our clients in the manufacturing and distribution space. We have a global outreach. As you can see, many different clients inclusive of many different industries, some North American based and some with a global footprint. We have all sorts of size clients, some from startup with no revenue, all the way up to $20+ billion enterprises. Our projects include numerous ERP vendors. And you can see here, large and small, tier 1 providers, tier 2 providers, tier 3 providers, and some niche applications as well around supply chain management, workforce management, and warehouse management. The intent today is to provide some exposure to what we are seeing again in the industry, some latest trends. We'll also get some discovery information about Infor, a brief overview of Infor and the M3 application. So let's jump into what we've seen recently. And through our business process optimization and many of our different projects, including ERP selection and supply chain, we are seeing that more organizations are trying to digitalize their supply chains. So they're using technology upstream and downstream, customers and suppliers in order to really streamline and optimize the supply chain. We're seeing a lot more use of artificial intelligence and the Internet of Things. We're seeing more connectivity on shop floors and in the field from all of our manufacturing companies. And a large focus is on the customer experience. So not only Infor as a vendor that we're highlighting today, but our customers. Our customers are trying to give their customers a better experience all around. There's a lot of best practices and standardization that are going on before implementations are actually started and kicked off. A lot of our clients are looking to optimize and implement as many best practices that make sense. And then, of course, most of them have some uniqueness, and it's always a challenge figuring out what and where the uniqueness needs to stay and how that's going to be addressed by the system. So at this point, I'm going to turn it over to Nick from Infor.
Thanks, Chris, and thank you everybody for attending the webinar today. I'm Nick Castellino from Infor, and I'm going to go through some of the manufacturing trends we're seeing among our customer base in the year 2019, as well as give you a brief introduction to Infor and our solutions. As I mentioned, I'm Nick Castellino, Director of Industry and Solution Strategy for Discrete Manufacturing here at Infor, which means I work across our product management, product marketing, sales, and with our customers and our partners to help define and communicate our go-to-market among the discrete manufacturing industries of aerospace and defense, automotive, high-tech and electronics, industrial machinery and equipment, and industrial manufacturing. Prior to Infor, I spent 9 years as Vice President and Research Group Director of the Aberdeen Group, covering industry applications such as ERP, EPM, BPM, and a variety of other applications. So let's jump into some of the manufacturing trends that we're seeing among our customer base in 2019. I want to start with a quote from Forbes that they made in Digital is Changing the Economics of Manufacturing in 2018, and the fact that by digitizing traditional manufacturing methods, today's manufacturers are optimizing their supply chains, reducing development cycles, increasing efficiencies, and driving down costs. Really, the fourth industrial revolution is completely changing the economics of manufacturing for those willing to embrace the change that is. Still, manufacturers are looking to address a very specific set of challenges that have always been important to them. It's really just how they're addressing those challenges have changed through digital technology. So here are some of the key challenges that we're seeing in manufacturing today. You see 5 different columns here, and we're going to go through each of those in a little bit more detail. First, industry modernization and consolidation. A lot of manufacturers have challenges related to really heavily customized business solutions that are designed to fit their industry requirements, but are really holding them back from modernizing and staying up to date on the various systems they're utilizing to run their business. Those solutions are siloed, outdated, heavily customized, making it very difficult to maintain and connect those technologies. This also holds them back from being able to support growth and things like mergers and acquisitions because they can't get a new business unit up and running quickly to support the new best practices they need to run that type of business. You see challenges related to product innovation and personalization. More and more customers are demanding more highly configured products, which makes it difficult for manufacturers to design, deliver those products to customers on time and under budget, as well as provide accurate quotes to those customers so that those customers can understand what they're going to get, when they're going to get it, how much it's going to cost, and really pay for those products immediately. So really looking for ways to change the way that they're communicating with their customer base and delivering unique, innovative products to those customers. Then you see the challenges related to increasingly complex supply chain networks. You probably heard the data point that 80% of your supply chain data exists outside of your 4 walls. Well, if you don't have access to that data, how are you going to be able to adequately plan for and forecast for demand and really reduce the cost of the products that you're delivering to your customers? Then you have the challenges related to reducing costs and driving services. Of course, cost control has always been a significant challenge for manufacturers of all types due to inefficiency and complexity on the shop floor and in the warehouse. But there are also challenges related to what you're actually delivering to your customers. More and more manufacturers are switching or at least extending their service-based models in addition to their product models, which calls for a real change in the way that they're operating as a business and the business systems they're utilizing to support those changes. Then lastly, you see new technology and how it propels disruption. As I mentioned, we're entering the 4th industrial revolution where manufacturers are looking to become more digitized and support and embrace emerging technologies like the cloud, IoT, analytics, artificial intelligence, and machine learning, new ways in which these manufacturers need to operate to stay up with competition. And also, in addition to that, really look for ways in which to support the new generation of workers. The manufacturing skills gap makes it extremely important for manufacturers to attract, retain key talent. Well, what we're finding is that a lot of manufacturers are utilizing easy-to-use, flexible technology that mocks the way an end user would interact with technology in their day-to-day lives as a valuable tool for getting people who actually want to come and work for their business. So really, these are the key challenges that we're seeing out in the industry and that are really driving digital transformation across manufacturers of all types. In fact, 33% of companies have adopted digital manufacturing today, but according to PwC, 73% will adopt digital manufacturing by 2020. So if this isn't something you're thinking about today, it's something you need to start thinking about quick because you're only going to fall behind your competition. You can see some examples of a variety of different ways that manufacturers are digitally transforming today and plan to be within the next 5 years. Things like value chain integration, digital businesses. You think of the Netflix model or the Uber model, moving to a whole different ways of providing information to customers. It requires a change in the technology you need to support that business. Product development and engineering, customer access, sales channels, and marketing. How are you communicating with your customers? These are all ways in which manufacturers today are utilizing digital technology to transform their operations. Some of those common digital trends that we're seeing out there include customer engagement. It's becoming even more important than even just the products and services you're delivering. How are you actually interacting with your customers? The data economy. How are you utilizing the data that you're able to collect as an organization? Maybe you're drawing data off devices that you're selling to customers. How are you maximizing the value of that data that you're drawing off of those devices? Services-driven expansion, as I mentioned, to add new revenue models. Smart products, changing business models. And the supply chain and how it's becoming even more interconnected and more collaborative. Seeing more and more manufacturers joining collaborative supply chain commerce networks to be able to track materials upstream and downstream, and also communicate more effectively with the supply chain. So those are a lot of things that manufacturers are thinking when it comes to digital. And here are the elements of digital transformation. We talked about the digitization of products and services, but also cloud as a way to more easily access information across your organization, as well as to be able to ensure that you're always accessing the most recent innovative technology and emerging technologies like IoT, AI, etc. Data science, doing more with the data contained within your business systems, being able to apply machine learning and artificial intelligence to make data more consumable and really provide actionable insight to the business user so that they can become more effective. The API economy and networks, being able to get data into and out of your business systems very easily from a variety of different sources. For example, we see customers being able to track weather data and utilizing that to impact how they manage their supply chains and their logistics to be able to deliver products to customers. And then lastly, the instrumented world, when we talk about things like the Internet of Things and being able to track the data related to your machinery so that you can optimize maintenance and do things like condition-based monitoring. So these are really the elements of digital transformation that manufacturers today are looking for to really take their business forward and compete in the modern environment. Now, all these things are great, but unfortunately, for many manufacturers, they're just not there today. For many, current systems inhibit their progress. According to this source you see below, 73% of CFOs said that they could not achieve their business objectives as a result of their business systems. 52% said they are out of date and inflexible, and 2/3 at the same time say that they're integral to their operations. So they need to find ways in which to modernize their business systems to support the progress that they're looking to make as an organization. A report from the Aberdeen Group looked at why manufacturers today are modernizing their business systems. And by far, the most important reasons are being able to take advantage of new functionality like industry-specific best practices or access to the Internet of Things or analytics or anything like that, but also ease of use and more flexibility to be able to support the real growth and change of a manufacturer today. So as you can see, we're really in a phase of digital transformation in the fourth industrial revolution for manufacturers. And manufacturers to compete need to be able to create that digital backbone for transformation. Here at Infor, we talk about how we create a platform featuring things like integration, advanced analytics, social collaboration, AI, extensibility so that you can personalize your business solutions without customization and going in and altering source code. Really, you need this flexibility and this openness to emerging technology to be able to support operations across your entire organization as a manufacturer. You see another quote there from Forbes. Out of 2,000 manufacturers, 86% expect to see cost reductions and revenue gains from their digitization efforts over the next 5 years. So if you're not on it already, it's time to jump on board. And now we're just going to go through a few examples of ways in which we see manufacturers utilizing technology or the benefits of these various emerging technologies. I'm sure you are all familiar with the benefits of the cloud when it comes to, of course, the predictability and scalability of how you're supporting your business from an IT perspective. But you also want to think about some of the business benefits of a cloud solution when it comes to accessibility, being able to access data anywhere and anytime, regardless of the device and browser, so you can remove silos in your business. But the adoption of innovation by being on a multi-tenant cloud solution, by ensuring that you're always up to date with the latest innovations in technology, because you're always able to access recurring updates to those solutions, rather than having to, every couple or several years, and in a worst case, go through a long, onerous re-implementation process or upgrade process. With cloud technology, you're really always up to date. We also see trends related to artificial intelligence, and we'll talk a little bit about how Infor actually helps to solve those challenges. But here's some of the data that's out there in the market when it comes to AI. According to Gartner, 63% of businesses stated that they are and will be investing in AI technologies by the end of 2017. So this is about a year and a half old now. But that just shows you that this is something that's already top of mind, as more and more use cases are becoming important when it comes to AI. So, what we're talking about when we talk about AI typically today exists as something like a digital assistant, like a Siri or an Alexa. But as time goes on, AI and machine learning are really understanding how business users are utilizing their various business solutions, that they're then going to able to serve up better recommendations and help to lightly automate some of those processes that employees are executing to really allow them to become more effective. Supply chain planning, when it comes to what the next generation of supply chain looks like, a lot more connectivity, being able to share data into and outside of your organization, being able to track materials upstream and downstream, being able to communicate effectively with your extended supply chain by understanding where your materials are at any time, and being able to easily integrate data and payments and all of that with them by really belonging to a supply chain commerce network to become more collaborative, but also at the same time applying analytics to the data contained within the extended supply chain to make better decisions. I talked a little bit about how some of our users are integrating weather data to make better decisions. That's really just the start of it. I was with a customer 2 weeks ago that wanted to link the demand for their products to fuel prices, and being able to integrate with outside data sources to help to further refine their supply chain planning are really going to become table stakes in the somewhat near future for effective manufacturing organizations. And then lastly, IoT and how that leads to opportunity. You've heard many data points, I'm sure, about the increasing amount of connected devices out there for manufacturers today. There's really kind of two ways you can look at it. For a manufacturer that has a lot of assets within the organization that they want to maintain, applying, sometimes cheaply bought sensors and collecting data off of those devices really helps to ensure that you can optimize maintenance and make better decisions around how you're maintaining and ensuring uptime for your machinery. But there's also the opportunity to embed sensors in devices that you're delivering to customers so that you can draw data for enhancing maintenance or understanding how they're utilizing those solutions so that you can inform further R&D in the future. So IoT is certainly something that's here and it has been here for quite some time. So really in manufacturing today, it's all about delivering outcomes so that they can become more effective. This is just a slide that's kind of a showcase for how Infor is addressing the key challenges that we talked about earlier in this presentation, how they can really manage their businesses from end to end, utilizing global cloud solutions, meeting customer demand for unique products with enhanced and automated configuration management and product lifecycle management, the supply chain network, shop floor automation and field service, and really having that digital platform to really ensure that manufacturers can support themselves as they grow and change in the modern manufacturing environment. So really, if you're not thinking about these things, what's at risk for your business? Performance improvement, access to best practices, because the ERP vendors are continuously building industry-specific best practices into their solutions, emerging technology, ease of use. And if you aren't modernizing your business, you're only setting yourself up for recurring disruption as you continue to piecemeal or step-by-step update your outdated, heavily configured, or customized business solutions that are really holding your business back. So that's at risk. Now I just kind of want to give you guys an introduction to Infor, so you can understand how we're helping manufacturers to address those challenges today. So if you're unfamiliar with Infor, we are the 3rd largest enterprise software company in the world with over $3 billion in annual revenue and 68,000 customers globally. We've got 9,500 cloud customers, 15,000 employees, many partners, and a lot of different offices all across the world to serve these customers. But more importantly for this presentation, really want to talk about our expertise when it comes to manufacturing. We've got 2,700 manufacturing customers across discrete and process manufacturing and distribution. 45% of our revenue comes from these industries. And within discrete manufacturing, we have focus on 10 industries. Or within manufacturing as a whole, we have focus on 10 industries. And these include aerospace and defense, automotive, high-tech and electronics, industrial manufacturing, industrial machinery and equipment, food and beverage, chemicals, distribution, equipment service and rental, and 3PL and logistics. We've got a 30-year history in delivering competitive advantage in manufacturing. And since we have this many customers, we understand the challenges that manufacturers are facing today. So we build industry-specific best practices into our solutions so that they can deploy our solutions without heavy customization, instead personalization, so that they can ensure that they're always up to date and being able to take advantage of the emerging technology that we're continuously innovating into our solutions. Just some data points when it comes to the momentum. We have, over the past 5 years, invested over $2.5 billion in product design and development. That's the functionality contained within the solutions, as well as the look and feel of these solutions with our hook and loop design group. We've delivered many new products, integrations, new industry features, and localizations to really ensure that we are making significant progress in delivering the types of solutions that manufacturers are looking today within Industry 4.0. As I mentioned, we have over 30 years of experience in manufacturing. Here are just a few of the manufacturers that are Infor customers across our ERP and strategic solutions and cloud suites. And our customer base really extends from the small, medium-sized business from 100 million to 500 million to the 500 million and multi-billion-dollar organizations. We have a wide set of solutions that are designed specifically for individual segments that are really going to fit the different types of manufacturers that are out there in the market. So we talk a little bit about our Infor strategy, and what you see on the left really outlines who we are and what we do, and this is exactly what sold me as an industry analyst on wanting to come and work for Infor. You really read that slide from the bottom to the top, and it outlines kind of what we're innovating on. It starts at the bottom with our platform, which is Infor Operating Service. That's really that platform for digital transformation that I talked about earlier that exists under all of our applications to support things like extensibility, integration, security, user experience, IoT, AI, really utilized to really create that modern digital platform for manufacturing. Above that, you see industry, which is extremely important to us, and it's why I'm an industry strategist here at Infor. We build industry-specific last-mile features and functions into our solutions because we understand the challenges across the various manufacturing industries that we've dedicated ourselves to. And since we have that functionality contained within our solutions, our customers are able to deploy their solutions in a multi-tenant cloud without customization, so that they can always be up to date on our business solutions and really maximize the value of the innovation that we're building. And since all that data is available in the cloud, the next level of our strategy is the network. And there's really two sides of that. There's the commerce network, really what's going on outside of your organization with our Infor Nexus product, being able to track materials upstream and downstream and communicate more effectively. But you also have your internal network, which is things like IoT, being able to draw data off of your assets within your organization and contain it all within one place so that you can make better decisions. Now, since this data is contained within one place, the next level of our strategy is our analytics, our Burst platform, which is a top right quadrant analytics platform that enables the end user to go in a self-service capacity to really prepare and access and visualize data so that they can make better decisions across the data contained within Infor solutions and outside of Infor solutions as well. And then lastly, the last level is AI, which is our Coleman platform, named after one of the women from the Hidden Figures that helped put the space shuttle into orbit. That's today, you'd most likely see that as a digital assistant, but that is machine learning being built into our Infor operating service that's going to allow end users to automate processes, make better decisions, serve up recommendations, and it's really the key to the new way people want to work in the future. And on the right side, you see our cloud suites. We'll go into that in just a few minutes, but just to highlight what exactly that Infor operating service actually is, you see on this slide here, it's really 8 shared sets of shared services that are really enabling digital transformation in a modern manufacturing environment. From user experience through our social collaboration platform called Mingle, to our integration platform and our extensibility platforms, as well as those emerging technologies like AI and IoT that you see here. But this is all built into our cloud suites. So you've probably heard of Infor Industry Cloud Suites. We have a series of end-to-end cloud suites that are designed specifically to set or serve a specific series of industries. Things like CloudSuite Automotive, CloudSuite Aerospace and Defense, CloudSuite Industrial Enterprise, CloudSuite Industrial, CloudSuite Food and Beverage. And these really start from an ERP engine. The reason we're able to do this is because we have a series of different ERP engines that are designed specifically for a various set of industries and segments. For example, the basis of CloudSuite Automotive would be LN, which is an enterprise level ERP, formerly known as BON, with 30+ years of experience in delivering value, designed specifically for large project-based discrete manufacturers. We also have our M3, which is the ERP that's the basis of our CloudSuite Food and Beverage, which is the solution that's really designed for, again, large enterprises, but more on the discrete and the process and distribution side of manufacturing. And then we also have our CloudSuite Industrial, which was formerly named Sightline, which is really our small and medium-sized business, up to $500 million ERP that is really designed to serve the needs of that market. So that's really the basis of the cloud suite. But then surrounding that, we have our strategic applications that may be more important in various industries that we then use to build out the end-to-end solution for whatever that industry may be. For example, in a industrial machinery and equipment manufacturer, they're more likely to need enhanced configuration capability. So we would include our configure price quote solution, and so on and so forth. So you can see how we're really building out a solution that's going to support an industry from end to end. And of course, wrapped around this is Infor Operating Service, that platform for digital transformation. So before we wrap up and we move on to a demonstration of Infor M3, we just kind of want to highlight some of the value-added applications that we have beyond ERP. Now, these applications can exist alone or as a part of an Infor Cloud Suite, and many of them are, really, top right quadrant, best-in-class solutions within their space. We have PLM solutions designed specifically for both discrete and process manufacturing. Enterprise asset management, which is one of our key solutions within manufacturing for supporting maintenance and other operations. CRM, configure, price, quote. A wide variety of solutions that support manufacturers and other industries for operating from really end to end. With that said, why Infor? Why you should think of us when you're going into your next selection process? Well, number one, we're industry focused. We have that industry specific functionality built in for whatever industry you may exist in. So you're going to be able to deploy us quickly without having to heavily customize the solution. The innovation that we're building into our multi-tenant cloud platform with things like AI, IoT, and extensibility, really going to enable your organization to stay up to date and continue to grow and change as time goes on. A modern solution with a beautiful user experience designed with the needs of the modern worker in mind is really going to be attractive for your end user so that they can become more effective. With that said, that's an introduction to Infor. I now like to pass it on to our Orest to be able to give you a little bit more information on Infor CloudSuite for M3 manufacturing.
Okay, so good afternoon, everybody, and my name is Orest Markevich. I'm going to be presenting one of the solutions that was mentioned before, and that is the CloudSuite M3 manufacturing. And my name is Orest Markevich. As I mentioned, I'm a senior solution consultant with M3. I've been working with the product now for 22 years, focusing in on the manufacturing side of the solution itself. So when it comes to the overall M3 product solution from a data perspective, you can see here we have a lot of functionality that's there to support the manufacturing processes themselves, anywhere from material structures to labor to work center type of definitions, engineering change, all embedded in the solution itself out of the box, and then supported with the key strategic solutions that were mentioned before, along with sitting on an operating systems and services that are Amazon based to allow you to do a lot of other personalizations and user experience details in setting up the solution. When it comes to the vertical itself, the production management side, we have more specifics in here in terms of the details that we can do supporting you out of the box, from proposal management, tear down and disassembly, scrap reporting, byproducts and co-products, tracking all the data that's necessary from a start and stop and disturbances during production, all typical examples that are supporting you out of the box with the solution. And then just like we talked about before in product data, we also have key strategic solutions to help things like the planner working with the demand plan or the scheduling workbench, and then different ways that an operator may be working in the solution, all again typically supported out of the box with the solution itself. So when it comes to this, the planning to execution side of the M3 solution, we deal with a couple of different factors at the top, and I'll be presenting to you a little bit today about the operational planning side, along with then what maybe a manager or supervisor may deal with in terms of actually immediate production scheduling, handling the day-to-day activities, and then maybe a quick look and feel that supports the way an operator may be looking to execute production on the floor. All this is predicated on how you set up the product lifecycle and bill of material or product data side in the solution. And as you note on the lower section of the slide, M3 supports many different types of manufacturing processes depending on what type of business you are and how you'd like to use the system in place in your day-to-day operations. So when it comes to product data management, we separate in terms of the BOM the details that are needed for components and material required for manufacturing, all the work center details that are there with routing steps that are associated with run times and labor rates and machine rates, etc. Also fully embedded within the solution is a configuration attribute modeling system that allows you to put in rules and define things like, if this attribute, then go to this line, if this attribute, maybe choose this material versus another one, and then all fully supported with a quality inspection system that is both in process and also detailed lab related. In the lower section of here, you can see some of the other typical aspects that are supported with the solution out of the box. One key factor here too, in the sense of using the M3 manufacturing, is the ability to set up different bills of materials for the same product that if you're a multi-site environment, along with setting up unique product costing in these particular environments. So depending on your machines, your overheads, your labor rates, etc., the same product could be costed differently at different sites within your organization. And we fully support things like standard costing, actual, average-based costing, lot-based costing, all are typical aspects of what you can set up in the system to help you monitor not only the cost of production, but variance management. So if you are looking at trends that are going wrong or positive, you can then utilize this information to adjust BOMs with an engineering change, for example. So overall, when it comes to the planning side of the solution, we supply a demand planning type of functionality where you can be manipulating forecast information. We can do supply chain planning, which is more of a detailed planning across all of the sites in your supply chain. We will offer also a planning workbench or a scheduling workbench, depending on how you want to run your business. A scheduling workbench is just that. It's an optimization tool that will draw information from the ERP and allow you to do what-if simulation work and decide what would be the best way to get out of a particular problem if necessary. Then also updating the schedule as you decide that the solution A versus solution B is the best way to go. And then that all falls together within the manufacturing schedule where the supervisor may go ahead and support that. Now we are typical when it comes to MRP and DRP, fully embedded, and can help you on short to long-term planning depending on how you want to run your business. When it comes to typical MRP, again, all that is fully supported, and we come out of the box with some embedded workflow messaging type systems to help the production planner to be better suited to address situations as they are popping up, notifying him through a workflow or some collaborative other measure that there's an issue that's developed and you need to address this. A typical MRP planning, looking at forecasts, replenishment, sales orders, double checking inventory on hand, and then the system making the recommendation for production. The same type of engine that could also support procurement from a buy plan and distribution from a transfer plan itself. So when it comes to short-term planning, one of the tools available to the planner is our planning toolbox. In here, as the system or manually generated proposals are coming into play, the planner has at his fingertips the ability to check many different things as you see in the left-hand circled column, with shortcuts, pictures, and also in-context type of detail that would help him or her to make better decisions. All this is standard out of the box with the details associated with it and the personalizations there. So if you wanted to, you can make this personalized in the view to your company's terminology and looks and feels and how you want to run your particular business. Once the planner reviews these things, he can also, or she can release this and create the production order on the floor. But another tool that the planner may need is what we call the scheduling workbench. And the scheduling workbench allows the planner to review a short to midterm type plan and make some decisions in terms of maybe having to offload offload machines, work orders on machines to other machines depending on overloads, maybe even look at a labor plan to try and get them in, people in to help him get out of a potential situation. So this is the offline scheduling tool, which allows me to bring in that detail, analyze, and come up with the best solution that we can in order to drive a reduced out of capacity situation where that may end up leading to lost customer orders, for example. After the planner is done reviewing the proposals and also making recommendations based on sequencing and optimization, he can then or she release the orders to the floor, and then it drops onto what we call a production schedule. So conceptually, this is also giving the supervisor, for example, on the floor, the ability to do quick planning manipulations and changes on the floor, on the fly, in a more immediate, plan for, let's say, this today or this week in that regard. And again, supported by various different concepts that you see on the left-hand side of the solution itself. So all this is part of a planning tool that could be used for the supervisor or manager to help in their execution of the day-to-day plan that's on the floor, as opposed to what the planner was doing that was more short-term to mid-term type of review processes. When it comes to the execution side, M3 also supports many different ways that you can go ahead and control material management, labor reporting, and then eventual put away of inventory. We support, finished products, sub-assembly reporting, byproducts and co-products, and then completed processes also. And we're open to various types of data collection systems. So if you have an MES type system on lines, we can interface to those with our application programming interfaces already designed for you to talk to these types of machines. I've talked from the ERP to the machine kind of a basis. The beauty of that, of course, is that we store all that data, temperatures, pressures, other things that you may be tracking on the production line, store that against a shop order, and then keep that as a record all the way through in the process. Also on top of here, if you prefer, we can do paper, we can do Kanban type of approaches, we can push data to PCs or iPads, depending on how you want to run your business, even supporting you with a handheld technology if you needed to go in and just do scanning of barcodes and reporting those kind of details in that regard. Some companies even like the fact that we do support orderless production, used for more of a repetitive type of nature when you have to keep just making something and just reporting the fact that you put that into the system. In this regard, I put in one kind of depiction here of a typical operator portal that you can build and put out on, say, a pad or a screen on a machine itself. And in here, you see many different pieces of information that can be presented to the operator. He can see the work center schedule that he's working on. So that's on the top half of the screen with a graphical representation. He sees pictures and other pieces of information in our in-context material that helps him look and feel of what he's supposed to be doing. So you could be putting not only pictures, but things like CAD drawings or videos out there for them to execute. And then the last kind of thing is the reporting steps. So you can see here I highlighted the operational reporting, but there's also component reporting. There's updates of the characteristics and attributes that are going to be associated with the product, and then also places that you can store inspection type of data depending on what you want to collect and what you want to store from a traceability perspective down the road. So this kind of ends up my presentation a little bit to give you an idea of how the solution M3 works, thinks, and can be utilized in your particular environment. Now I'll pass it back on to Chris, who will continue on with the presentation.
Great, thank you, Orest and Nick. Very nice overview of N4 and the M3 application. Appreciate the detail there. Just going to encourage the attendees one more time to take advantage of the 1 hour free consulting from Panorama. So please visit the website and enter that code free hour, and we will be in touch quickly. And then to wrap up, we'll take a couple of questions. Wanted to make sure everybody had Laura Florence's contact information. Laura Florence is the Director of Business Development at Panorama and a very great resource to us. Laura actually spent many years on the delivery consulting side of Panorama and now runs our business development department. So very valuable resource. Please make sure to make contact with her. A couple of questions here, and Nick, you had mentioned earlier about the additional functionality, the additional systems that N4 has, such as the EAM and HCM. You guys also have advanced planning, demand plus planning, advanced scheduling, and other advanced applications that can be implemented on top of basic functionality within each of those systems, including M3, correct?
Correct, and I believe, Orest, you were going to answer a little bit more and talk about some of those solutions.
Right, so with M3, we have a demand planning tool, which allows us to manipulate, update, make corrections, etc., to forecasts that are being entered in by your sales or other people in the organization. I showed you the scheduling Workbench, which is a optimization tool that allows us to go ahead and do changes, simulate the potential change, and before you go ahead and push that into the base ERP to update the solutions themselves. And then one of the other factors here is that M3 has a fully embedded plant maintenance system in place so that we would take a machine down, for example, for PM type of work. That'll impact that schedule that you saw from the supervisor's perspective and also from the planner, as the maintenance system will, of course, reduce capacity in order to accommodate the services required, whether it's downtime, fixing something, or, like I mentioned before, the preventive maintenance. So those are additional functions that come with the M3 package.
Great,
Does that
thanks,
answer your
Oris.
question? Yeah.
It does, yeah, thank you very much. And we often see, you know, many of our clients are implementing basic functionality and receiving numerous benefits just from basic functionality. And then, of course, more benefits are being received as they grow into the system and add some of those advanced functions. So thank you. And then I guess back to Nick here. Nick, you had mentioned the hook and loop team for the user interface development. Could you just shed a little bit more light on the hook and loop team and their purpose, please?
Sure, yeah. Hook and Loop is our in-house design team that focuses very much on the usability of the solution. So I mentioned the new generation of worker and how they're looking for solutions that kind of mock the way they utilize technology in their lives outside of work. Well, this team featuring some of the best when it comes to design, even those coming from design outside of the typical software, business software space, focused on usability, how screens look, how they enable functionality on mobile devices. So this is something where we're spending a significant amount of money and making a significant investment in ensuring that our solutions are modern when it comes to usability for the end user so that they can maximize the value.
Good, thanks, Nick. I think that we can see that coming through in all of the products that Infor has to offer. So with that, Nick and Oris, thank you very much. Appreciate your time today. And then to all the attendees, again, thank you very much for attending. Please reach out to us via our website or the information you see here. Take care and have a great day. Thank you.